You're listening to Dakota Spotlight. My name is James Wallner. This is Season 7, Call Me Shelly, The Mysterious Disappearance of Michele Julson.
How would you get abducted from 140 American to 300 block East Broadway without somebody seeing it on a Tuesday afternoon?
I think something happened to her. I think somebody took her.
You need to call the police, and you need to get yourself a protection order.
Burnt Creek Club.
Bartender at the Burnt Creek.
Told her anytime after 2 o'clock she could stop by and pick him up, and she never did show.
And I was specifically looking for that car, Shelly's car.
Was one of the group allegedly harassing Shelly at the bar.
But there was two railroad workers, and I thought they talked to one.
In this episode, an interview with Tony Hulm, former bartender at the Burnt Creek Club. Tony Hulm lives in Windham, Minnesota. I spoke with him recently about Shelly and her disappearance. Here he is.
Hello.
Mr. Hulm, this is James Wallner with Dakota Spotlight Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Is this still a good time for an interview?
Sure.
We greatly appreciate it. First question, have you listened to the podcast or no?
I've listened to 1, 2, and 3 so far.
Okay, so you've heard your name and understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions for you, but since you've listened, what would you like to say about our reporting on Shelly's case so far?
Oh, I don't know. Not much to say. There's a lot of drama in it.
Do you feel like it's overly dramatic compared to what was going on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You want to elaborate on that?
Oh, I don't know. It just seems like one story gets to another person and the story gets bigger and things like that. But then that's just my opinion.
When I spoke to you last Saturday, you said you'd received my letter and the email. I didn't hear from you.
Well, I just thought it was the one podcast, and by the time I had gotten it, after a while, it was too late anyway. I didn't know that this was going on for how many weeks.
So you thought you'd missed the whole thing?
I just thought it was done.
Do you mind sharing some of your background, where you were born and where you grew up?
Well, I was born in Trail City, South Dakota, and I was there till I moved to Bismarck and went to college there for a couple of years, and then I've been in Windham ever since.
What kind of person was Shelly? What can you tell us about Shelly Julson, the way you remember her?
She was just a fun, nice person.
Would you call her an honest person?
I would say so.
Yeah. Was she funny? Was she laid back?
Yeah, she was a lot of fun, going out and having fun together. One time we went to a movie, another time we went to the bar and played blackjack, and just went out and relaxed and had some fun. She was relaxed. She'd get a little upset once in a while. She had a little bit of a temper in her, but nothing serious. Sometimes I babysat Jaden once in a while when I was off and she had to work.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's news to us. Tell us about that. How was that for you?
Oh, there were some Sundays when she'd have to work on a Sunday morning, and I didn't have to work that morning, so I'd probably watch him for the day while she was at work.
Well, that was nice of you.
No, she was a good friend, needed help.
Yeah, we have here that Jaden's father said that you had helped Shelly move into that trailer. Do you recall that?
I don't think I did much helping her move, maybe a little bit, but most of her friends helped her move before.
So I have full access to the police file, and I want to get your input on this because we got sort of two versions. On the one hand, we've heard that Michele or Shelly, broke up with you, and she was trying to end things. The other side is that you broke up with her and were trying to end things. And can you just tell us about the dynamics of that relationship right before she went missing?
Well, I kind of broke up with her. We went out for a while, but like I said, she'd have a little bit of temper once in a while that I thought was kind of uncalled for. And I just said I'd still like to be good friends. I just don't think we should go out together no more. And we just kind of remained friends after that.
Was her temper focused around a certain subject or?
Oh, just sometimes she'd get mad at some of the silliest things. Of course, she probably was drinking at the time too, so probably had a few drinks at the time. She just get mad at like one time I was on a pool league and I was playing pool and she knew when my pool leagues were there and she'd come out there and shoot my butt out for being out. And I said, I'm on a pool league. You can stay here and join us if you want. And no, I'm going to go party with my friends. And I said, fine, it's okay. But I said, I really don't need that kind of action again. That's not really kind of embarrassing.
If I understand you correctly, she was giving you a hard time for being out with your friends?
Well, I was on pool league, so I wasn't out with my friends. I was out shooting pool league.
So one of the interviews, maybe you heard this in the podcast, in one of the interviews police did, she told a friend that you had threatened her with a gun or threatened to get a gun and harm her. Does that ring a bell?
No, I would never have done that to her.
What about the story that we've heard again from Shelly's friends, having her told them this, that you would show up drunk at her trailer, quote unquote, wanting her back?
No, I never did anything like that.
There's another comment she made to friends that she was afraid you might get drunk and harm her. Were there ever any fights of that?
No.
What's your comment on that?
No, when we were together, we probably got drunk, but I'd never harmed her or done anything to her. She might have got mad at me once in a while and just try to calm her down and get her to relax. But no, I would never do nothing to her, and I never showed up at her place drunk. I wouldn't come there unless I was invited.
On the other side of, more positive things we've heard about your relationship, one of her friends said that you were her confidant. How does that sound to you?
Well, she had a problem. She'd always give me a call, or if she was in trouble, she'd call me.
Do you recall what kind of problems she might have had, or?
Well, the one that stands out that I heard in this podcast, this last podcast, number 3, was when she got her and some other people were in the swimming pool with their clothes on and got kicked out of the motel. She called me to come and get her because she was all wet and it was cold out that night.
So are you saying Shelly was one of the people in that swimming pool?
Yeah, probably a few days before she disappeared.
Okay, I need to interject here and explain or perhaps remind us all about this swimming pool occurrence. Soon after Shelly's disappearance, Bismarck police received information that in the early morning hours of Wednesday, August 3rd at about 3 a.m., so that's about 15 hours after Shelly dropped off her son, 2 railroad workers who were in the company of 2 women were thrown out of the swimming pool at the Comfort Inn Hotel. And you'll recall that Shelly's car was later found at the Comfort Inn parking lot. When an employee at the Comfort Inn saw Shelly Julson's photo in the missing persons flyer, they stated something like, "Hey, that looks like one of the women who were thrown out of the pool." As I summarized in a previous episode, Bismarck PD did speak with the 2 railroad workers, the 2 men who were thrown out of the pool, and both men said that neither of the 2 women were Shelly Julson. I should note here that the men were questioned by police at the time the Wee Fest sighting of Shelly in Minnesota was in full tilt and seemed to be dominating the investigative focus and efforts. At least that's my interpretation of it after reading the police files. For now, let's return to my interview with Tony Hulm, but after the interview, we will revisit this swimming pool occurrence again, and you'll hear the full police report from interviews with the 2 men who were thrown out of the pool. Let me just ask you this again. Are you saying
I don't know who she was with, but I know she was in a swimming pool with some friends and got kicked out of it.
You recall this specifically also?
Yes, because she called me. It was, midnight or so, and I went to pick her up and brought her to my place and dried her clothes. And then she stayed the night, and I took her home the next morning. Or I don't remember if I took her to her car or home, but then I know that was in the police report when they interviewed me that time.
And this occurrence, according to the police report, is later that evening, Wednesday morning. Does that sound right?
Yeah, this happened on a Sunday night, because I heard that too, and it sounded like it happened after she was missing, and this was before she was missing.
Unless there's more than one event
Well, that's when I heard that on the podcast. That sure sounded strange to me.
But you recall her getting, quote unquote, kicked out of a swimming pool?
Yeah, they all get kicked out of the swimming pool for being in there with their clothes on. That's what she told me.
Moving on a little bit, it's all over the police reports that Sunday night, early Monday morning, she calls you at 3 a.m. That was pretty common for her to be calling like that time of the night?
Oh, once in a while, she had a problem or if she'd been drinking.
Do you recall that specific conversation?
Not really, because it seems like that Sunday night was the night I picked her up. She called me, and then that's when I picked her up because she was in that swimming pool when she got kicked out of the swimming pool. That's kind of how I remember it, but it's been a long time ago.
Or, I mean, to be honest, I've read mistakes on dates in this police file before. It's possible the police file has the wrong date. Maybe I'll go back and look.
Because it seems to me that Sunday night before she went missing was when she called me. And I'd say, I don't know, between midnight and 1 o'clock. I can't remember what time it was. I went pick her up, brought her to my place and dried her clothes and everything for her. And she spent the night and took her home the next morning.
Yeah, I mean, we know that she was out all night that Sunday night and didn't pick up Jaden from the babysitter until 10:30. So she would have had the opportunity to be at your place. I mean, the only thing that doesn't align perfectly is when this swimming pool thing. But she was seen talking to 2 railroad workers at 1 a.m. And we don't know what happened after that. But if your memory was to be correct and the swimming pool thing actually happened that night, that would explain quite a bit. I mean, she was seen with these 2 guys, two railroad workers. So moving on to, I guess, the day of the disappearance, August 2nd, you've said, it's in the police report, that you spoke with her from 10 a.m. to about noon, and then 30 minutes later, she's dropping off Jaden and is never seen again. Do you have any idea what you were talking about for 2 hours?
No, I can't remember. I've been thinking about that too, what we talked about. I know I talked to her, but I do not recall what we talked about or anything.
Was that common for you guys to talk that long, you think?
She talked, I listened.
So she would talk about her life, basically, or?
Oh, yeah, life or things going on, or she just kind of rambled on about different things, and I just let her talk, made her feel better.
I want to move on to the the harassment that she said she was getting. So this is the stuff that is in the police report. She was being called names at the Burnt Creek Club while working. She said you told friends to do that. Her car had been keyed. She was getting hang-up phone calls night and day at home. She felt like she was followed home from Burnt Creek Club. She got some flat tires a couple times. And then there was a woman driving through the trailer park yelling out the window, "Leave him alone." Do you recall her getting harassed at the Burnt Creek Club?
Not that I recall. The only part I remember, she told me that one time she had heard that Don Schaefer had said some things about her. And Don Schaefer was a good friend of mine, so I asked him right away the next day about it. And he says, no, he didn't. He talked about some things, but it was not like that. Whoever heard it completely turned it around. So I told Shelly about it. I don't know, a couple nights later, we went out to the Burnt Creek Club together. Don Schaefer was there and some of his friends that all knew about it. We sat back in the pool room. We talked about it. He apologized to her, and we sat there, we drank, and we played pool the whole night. So that thing I thought was all taken care of. I didn't know it got blown that far out of proportion.
Yeah, I mean, this information was collected after she went missing and recorded in police files. So these would be recollections of her friends being told this by Shelly. And
well, I know this was, 5 years ago, somebody from the police department called me and asked me questions and told me about this. And I said, no, that wasn't right. And I think about 3 years ago, another detective called me about Shelly and told him the same thing. But
yeah, that was one of my questions when you were spoken to by law enforcement last. So 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly recent.
Yeah.
You offered to pay deductible for the damage to her car. Her car was keyed. And
yeah.
You told police back then that you were just trying to help her out.
Well, yeah. Well, I helped her pick out that car. It was a very nice car. She and I went car shopping one night, and she seen this car, and we took it out and drove it. And she kind of fell in love with it and says, well, if you can afford it, I guess it's up to you. It's your car. So It was a very nice car, and I was sad to see somebody would key a car like that. I said, well, I'd help to pay the deductible if you want to get fixed, just to help her out, because I knew she didn't have any money.
I assume you guys had conversations about who was keying her car. Do you remember any thoughts on that?
We talked about it, but I wouldn't have no idea who would have done it. Nobody that I would known would have done it.
It seems that Shelly suspected Jenny, as you've heard in the podcast. What can you tell us about?
Yeah, Jenny would never do that.
Can you tell us a little more about Jenny, or why you believe that?
Oh, I don't. Jenny was just a hardworking person who was trying to make a living, and she had plenty of kids to take care of. She didn't have time for running around keying cars and going out doing that stuff.
Okay, moving on to Kevin. Did you ever meet Kevin Woodworth?
No.
Do you have anything to add about anything Shelly told you about the situation there with Kevin, or?
Pretty much all the same stuff I heard on the podcast. I never witnessed anything or seen anything, just stuff she told me, and it was all about the same stuff I heard on the podcast that you had.
Do you think she was afraid of him, or?
I don't know. I didn't think she was afraid of him. Sometimes she was pretty pissed off at him, but...
Oh, you took a polygraph test, correct?
Yes, I did.
Would you mind telling us about that? Just the experience. That must have been kind of weird.
No, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't a suspect or anything, because I had nothing to do with it. I was worried about the girl, and I had nothing to hide.
Personally, I would, even if I was innocent, I'd be a little nervous taking a polygraph test.
Oh, yeah, they are a little nerve-wracking. Not the most pleasant thing I wanted to do.
This is what I want to ask you now, is you left North Dakota 3 weeks after she disappeared. That's correct, yeah? Or is that correct?
Yeah, well, I had planned on this when Shelly and I were going together, that once I graduated from college, I was moving to Minnesota.
So you were studying there in Bismarck?
Yes.
What did you study?
Business management.
So you're saying that leaving at that time was something you had planned all along?
Yes, that was all planned like 6 months before that already.
One of my questions was going to be, have you ever seen her or heard from her since?
No, I have not. I thought she might pop up some kind of place here in Minnesota sometime, but no, I have not seen or heard from her since. The part I can't figure out, where was her car for 4 days? Because that's a car that you just do not miss. You would notice it. So it was not sitting at that motel for 4 days. It had to be put there the day they found it.
Just a quick note here. Shelly's car was found 6 days after she vanished, not 4 days after. And why they comfort in, do you think?
I don't know, because I know she worked there, but why it was there, that I don't have a clue. That's the part that still baffles me. Where was that car for 4 days?
Well, I'm going to have to ask you this question, even though I know what you're going to say, but did you kill Shelly, or do you know who did?
No, I did not, and I do not know who did or who would have.
Did Shelly ever talk about her father-in-law, Kevin's father?
No, not much.
Do you think Shelly would run off and abandon her son?
I don't know. I've asked my question that I don't know how many thousands of times. I don't think she would have, but then maybe things, I didn't know how bad her financial situation really was, but maybe it was bad enough. Maybe she thought he would be better off, or things would be better off. I don't know. That thought crosses my mind, except for that car missing for 4 days. That's the part that puts a different thinking on that. That's the only part that baffles me.
That was when I started before, when I was speculating all the possible scenarios, was if that 2-hour conversation you were having with her, I thought, well, maybe Tony helped her disappear. Like, you guys.
No, I wouldn't have done that. No, she just talked about stuff that bothers her, like most of the phone calls, and she just talk about things that she did and stuff like that. Sometimes she just liked to talk when things were bothering her, not about anything in particular. It made her feel better.
She was very, very broke that week. In fact, I think her phone got turned off that week, later that week. So when the police inspected the trailer, they found a bunch of her overdue bills and notices in the garbage can. Like, to me, that indicates a person who has no plan on paying these bills. Like, if I get an overdue bill,
Yeah, you kind of put it away, so
put it in a drawer or something, not in
they
the...
catch up sometime along the line.
This is almost like she's saying, I'm never paying these things.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of my first thoughts, too, that maybe things were so bad she just decided to skip the country. Just that car thing bothered me the most. That part just don't quite fit into the deal.
Yeah, because potentially she could sell it and make some money there.
Well, I'm sure she got rid of the car because they could find her easy with that. If she just wanted to run away and get a different identity, I'm sure it's possible. She was a smart person. She could figure out something. She was no dummy. But I can't say she would have done that. I don't want to say she would have done it, but like you said, it's a possibility. But I just can't imagine her doing that. And that car being gone and returning 4 days later, that part just seems funny.
How often do you think about Shelly?
Oh, I don't know. Every few months or so.
I guess, is there anything I didn't ask you that you were hoping I would ask, or I should have asked, or anything else you would like to say about Shelly's disappearance?
Nothing I can think of. About the same thing I told her mom when she come to Burnt Creek Club after she was missing. I said, if she would walk in here now, I'd give her a big hug, and then I'd turn her around and kick her in the butt.
Put a lot of people through a lot, actually. If she ran away, I should say.
Yes.
Mr. Holmes, thank you so much for speaking with us. We really appreciate it.
Okay. Bye.
After the break, we will talk more about the swimming pool incident, and I'll play for you the full police report from interviews with the two railroad workers. Let's look a little closer at that occurrence at the Comfort Inn Hotel swimming pool, about 15 hours after Shelly dropped off Jaden. On Sunday night, July 31st, 1994, Shelly was seen talking to two railroad workers outside the Elbow Room bar at 1 a.m. We don't know what Shelly did that night, only that she picked up Jaden the next morning at 10:30 a.m. Due to this sighting, Bismarck investigators wanted to follow up on which railroad workers were in town that week. Maybe Shelly made some new friends. Maybe a railroad worker might be able to help locate Shelly. Also, Shelly's car was found at the Comfort Inn Hotel parking lot, a hotel that routinely hosted railroad workers. So, back in '94, Detective Walls called up an investigator for the railroad and asked if he could help them identify who these two railroad workers were that Shelly spoke with on Sunday. The investigator did provide 4 names, and he told Walls that he'd learned that 2 of the men had been kicked out of the swimming pool at around 3 a.m. on August 3rd, which would have been about 15 hours after Shelly dropped off her son. Tony Hulm, now after listening to the first 3 episodes of this podcast, has shared with us that he recalls Shelly calling him up, stating she'd been thrown out of the hotel pool. It's hard to know what to make of all of this. Tony Hulm never mentioned any of this to law enforcement back in 1994, but he wasn't asked about it either, really. Today, Tony's memory is that this happened on early Monday morning, not early Wednesday morning. Of course, it's possible that Shelly's swimming pool occurrence is a different occurrence than the one involving the railroad workers. All I know is that this is interesting, and so I'm going to play for you now the full police report about all this, narrated by a colleague of mine.
I went to the Comfort Inn to meet with Mitch Marr. Marr is an engineer with the BN Railroad and a guest at the Comfort Inn the night of 8/2/94. I met with Marr at his room and explained why I was there. I showed him the picture of the missing subject, and he stated that he had never seen her before. He stated that he thought the reason that I wanted to talk to him was because when he had come into the motel last night, 8/12/94, one of the people that he was with saw the poster in the lobby and made the statement that Julson looked like the girl Marr was in the pool with on 8/2/94. Mar thought the motel clerk overheard the comment and called us. I asked Mar about the night of 8/2/94. He could not recall too many details. He went to Borrowed Bucks that evening with Daryl Helbing, another BN employee, and met 2 women. He could not tell me what the names of the women were. I asked what he called them, and he told me that he only knew the first name of Linda. Mar stated that both of the women that they were with were blonde, close to 40 years old, and they were a lot thinner than Julson. He stated that they were never at the elbow room. Mar told me that they came back to the motel with the women in a car belonging to one of the women. He could not tell me what kind of vehicle it was, other than he thought that it was a station wagon. He stated that it was definitely not the Thunderbird in the picture that I had shown him. I asked Mar about what happened at the pool that night. He told me that he did not really remember. I asked what the women were wearing in the pool. He stated that he could not recall. They were in the pool, and some guy in a cowboy hat was making a disturbance about some beer. He did not know who the cowboy was. After they left the pool, the women left the motel. They did not stay with Mar or Helbing. Mar went to his room and went to bed. The next day, 8/3/94, Mar and Helbing took the train to Fargo and got off at Dilworth, Minnesota. He stated that Julson was not on the train. Before leaving, I told Mar that it appeared that his memory was a little fuzzy. I asked if it was because he had a lot to drink. He told me that he had only a couple of drinks, that he was just bad at remembering things like makes of cars. Mar told me that I should talk to Daryl Helbing, who was at the motel at this time too. I contacted Daryl Helbing at his room and explained why I was there. He basically confirmed what Mar had told me. Helbing's memory was somewhat better. Helbing stated that the 2 women that they picked up at Bucks were both blonde, slim, and 35 to 40 years old. He had no names of the women, but thought that they were from the Bismarck area. He stated that neither woman was Julson. He told me that they had returned to the motel in a car driven by one of the females. The car was a yellow Toyota Corolla. Helbing stated that they went to the pool and were swimming with the women. I asked if the women had changed into bathing suits. He stated that none of them were wearing anything, and that this was partly why they were told to leave the pool. I asked about the tattoo on Julson's left shoulder. He stated that neither of the women had a tattoo. Helbing stated that a guy had followed them from the bar in another vehicle, but he never saw what it was. This subject was wearing a cowboy hat and making a lot of noise over some beer. This got the attention of the management, who kicked them all out of the pool. Helbing stated that he went back to his room alone and was late getting up for work. He rode in a different vehicle to the train yard than Mar. The train that he was on that morning went to Fargo, and Helbing got off in Dilworth. I asked if anyone was on the train who was not a part of the crew. He told me that there was not. He stated that anyone could hop the train cars, but unless the whole crew was a part of it, it would be impossible to sneak someone aboard the engine.
Again, what you just heard was from police reports found in Shelly Julson's cold case file. The swimming pool thing is of perhaps new interest now, only because Tony Hulm claims he recalls that Shelly was thrown out of a swimming pool around the time she went missing. It's hard to say how these things are connected or not connected. It's been 28 years since Shelly vanished, and that's plenty of time for memories to get eroded and fuzzy. As you heard, the police report was very specific about the time of this event. It states that these 4 people were ejected from the swimming pool at 3 a.m. on Wednesday, August 3rd. That's 15 hours after Shelly dropped off Jaden on Tuesday, August 2nd, around noon. And perhaps people getting ejected from swimming pools was a common occurrence. Perhaps Shelly's late-night experience was on another occasion altogether. It's hard to know. What is interesting, though, are the many references to railroad workers we find in this story, at the Elbow Room, at the Comfort Inn where Shelly's car was found. But what does it all mean? That's a tough question to answer. But I do know this: we are not done attempting to figure it all out. I'd like to talk to the two men Helbing and Marr and see if they recall that night. Or, for that matter, if you are one of the two women who were with them that night and got thrown out of the pool, please contact me. And there are other things still to explore and yet to come in this season of Dakota Spotlight. I'd like to speak with Rick Snell, the former employee at Great Lines who failed to return to work on August 3rd, 1994. He lives in Montana today. Perhaps he has a phone. Perhaps he will talk to me. And to be thorough, I still want to learn more about the police officer named Don Schaefer that Shelly said had harassed her. It looks like he was arrested in 1996, and I'm attempting to get a hold of the incident reports about all of that. I'm sure there are other stones yet unturned, too. We will keep looking for them, and when we find them, we'll do our best to flip them over and see if we can find any trace of Michele Julson, otherwise known as Shelly. If you have any thoughts on this case or information or tips, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, thank you again for listening to Dakota Spotlight. Dakota Spotlight is a production of Forum Communications, written, researched, and recorded by me, James Wallner. Special thanks to my colleagues at Forum Communications for lending us their voices. That's Jim Manny, Tricia Tarinskas, Chris Kurzman, and Jeremy Fugelberg. Music by Wowza in Kalamazoo. You can check them out by searching Wowza in Kalamazoo on bandcamp.com. And why not join the Dakota Spotlight Facebook group or follow me on Twitter at Dakota Spotlight. Once again, until next time, thank you so much for listening to Dakota Spotlight.